Talks, a program brought to you by QTV, a channel for decision makers, and Indoindians.com, the Indian portal for Indonesia and Indians worldwide. Today we have a guest who is variously known as a poet, a mystic, a sage, an educationist, a philosopher, and an apostle for the Indian culture worldwide. He has written several books which have been translated into several languages, even Bahasa Indonesia. He radiates peace and happiness. Although he has millions of followers, he himself is humility personified. Welcome to our show, Dada J.P. Vasvani. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
It's so kind of you to have me here. I feel grateful.
Thank you again. If you want to learn more about how you started on this mission of spreading love and happiness throughout the world?
I don't know if I've started a mission of spreading love and service and compassion among the people, but it all began with my contact with my Gurudev, Sadhu Vaswani. There is a music in his name, there is a magic in his memory. To be close to him was to realize that life and all the bounties of life are given us as a trust to be spent in the service of the surrounding world. It was he who made me what I am, if I am anything.
That is so very humble of you, Dadaji.
It's not humility, but it's a real fact. As a young man, when I was studying in the college, I had my own dreams. But when I came into contact with this truly great soul, truly noble soul, nobler than my weak words may tell, my life has changed.
But you have also brought a change to millions of people's lives throughout the world.
I don't know if I have done, but whatever has been done, I believe is being done by the Master. I'm only a broken instrument in his hand.
With beautiful music, I must say.
Perhaps I make mistakes, but he is gracious. He is all merciful.
Dadaji, in this increasingly connected world, we are saying that the world is becoming smaller. People are getting closer to each other with various devices to keep in touch, and with all that is happening throughout the world. But people are becoming increasingly lonely. What do you attribute that to?
There should always be a balance between the outer and the inner.
Can you explain?
So far as the outer is concerned, we have made plenty of progress, but we have neglected our inner life. Our inner life needs to be cultivated. My beloved Master Sadhu Vaswani said again and again that the noblest work is to cultivate the soul. We pay no attention to the soul. Man is essentially a soul.
I see.
Wearing a body, and man has brought with himself the equipment of the mind to be able to do his work on the physical plane. Man is neither the body nor the mind. He is not the body-mind complex as so many people take themselves to be. Man is essentially a soul. And until we learn to cultivate the soul, we will not be able to solve the problems and perplexities that have swept over us. Because on the outer plane, we have made tremendous progress.
Yes.
I believe that the 20th century will be regarded as the century of tremendous discoveries.
In fact, more than they have been in the preceding centuries.
So this century will be regarded as a century of tremendous discoveries.
But even so, now you have more people in depression. You have more mental institutions.
Yes, because our inner life has not been cultivated.
How do we cultivate our inner life?
To be able to cultivate the inner life, the very first thing that we have to do is to see that our mind is filled with noble thoughts.
Okay.
This is something that we have neglected. I very often say to my friends that the very first thing that you should do when you wake up in the morning, even before you leave your bed, even before you open your eyes, you must pick up a line from a script.
Be on the same path with him. Dadaji, when you mentioned earlier all about growing internally and growing through our soul rather than looking at material things, at material abundance, how is it that, this is just an extension of my previous question where I had asked you about growth, but here the world is becoming richer, but the grief is not lessening. And can you tell us what we can do as people, as individuals, to alleviate this grief?
As I said, the very first thing that we need to do is to fill our minds with noble thoughts.
Okay.
The second thing that is necessary is to practice daily silence, preferably at the same time and at the same place. I often refer to it as our daily appointment with God. We keep a number of appointments every day, but we miss out this most important of all appointments. It is our appointment with God. And God is none other than our higher self, our true self. It is not that we have to go high up in the skies to have our appointment with God.
Right.
God is wherever we are. He is our true self. He is our higher self. He is our nobler self. Within every man there are these two selves. There is the lower self, the ego self, the empiric self with which so many of us are familiar. But it is the self of passion and pride, of lust, hatred, greed, jealousy, envy, resentment, ill will.
Yes, that is true.
Now this self sits on the threshold of our consciousness and easily catches us. Not merely catches us, but misguides us. We come under the influence of this ego self, and our life is steeped in sordid selfishness.
So our basic...
But there is our higher self.
Okay.
There is the other self, our higher self, our nobler self, our true self. We are not familiar with it. In the measure in which we align ourselves with our true self, in that measure will our lives grow in beauty and blessedness.
I see.
You must have heard the name of Enrico Caruso.
Yes.
The great Italian musician.
Yes.
Concerning him, Thomas Burke said, Caruso was not a musician. Caruso was a miracle. They used to keep a glass in front of him. He used to sing. Merely by singing, he used to create such powerful vibrations as could break the glass into pieces, into fragments. But Caruso was a disappointment when he began his career. When he gave his first performance, the people were so deeply disappointed that they actually took sticks in their hands. The Italians can be very rough if they want to be rough.